Yes, first we'll discuss about what is IP, intellectual property. So, intellectual property means literary, artistic, and scientific work, performances, performing artists, phonograms, and broadcast, as well as inventions in all the fields of human endeavor, scientific discoveries, industrial designs, marks, and commercial names and designations, protection against unfair competition. All other rights resulting from intellectual property activity in the industrial, scientific, literary, and artistic fields. Moreover, we'll see why some economies grow fast while others perform badly, like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. In other words, why some countries are rich and others are not. It is generally agreed that technology and knowledge have played an important role in recent years. Cinderella of new economy. Actually, when you talk Cinderella of new economy, is intellectual property. Intellectual property could be called the Cinderella of the new economy. A drab but useful servant, considered and consigned to the dusty and uneventful offices of corporate legal departments until the prince of globalization and technological innovation, revealing her true value, swept her to prominence and gave her an enticing new allure. Not so long ago, protecting and managing intellectual property was a fairly quiet field of endeavor, not given to making headlines of causing ripples on the stock market. However, in the space of few years, IP issues have come to feature regularly as major news items and have taken their place as a key element of corporate strategy affecting company ratings. So we'll discuss about the economic theories. In 1980s, after several economists made contributions on the importance of technological progress to economic growth, new growth theories, also known as new endogenous growth theories, emerged, formulating technological progress as an endogenous variable which could be influenced by government policy. These theories suggested that a country's long-term growth rate could be influenced by governmental policies, among others, the protection of intellectual property, taxation, maintenance of law and order, and fiscal and monetary policies. So, when technological progress was the key factor leading to economic growth, had little to do with the state of the internal economy. And progress in science and technology depended little on monetary or fiscal policy in developing economies. In other words, treating technological progress as exogenous meant that the implementation of economic policy did not directly influence technical progress, but technical progress could influence economic policy. That is why the slow model did not attempt to define where technology was coming from. So, the developing economies have to take care of their fiscal and monetary and economic policy with regard to intellectual property regime. I'll give you a very specific model which was introduced by Paul Romer. So he introduced a model which suggests that the accumulation of knowledge was the driving force behind economic growth. Romer's paper, one of his papers, reopened the debate on the contribution of technological progress to the economic growth of a nation state. His model assumes a monopolistic competitive environment and suggests that research and development activities and the accumulation of human capital through education and training play an important role in generating long-term growth in per capita income. Therefore, it is proved by many theories that intellectual property regime will incline the economy. So, there was another economist called Solow. He also did the same thing. He gave the same opinion like Romer did. So, this Solow, he said, labor, capital, technology and output, and how the first three variables combine over a period of time to produce output. That means to make economic growth. In an attempt to avoid the paradox encountered by the Solow model concerning the failure of less developed countries to take advantage of existing technological progress, Romer postulates that the technological progress in industry requires concerted, profit-oriented activity that yields two distinct components named specific technical features embodied in products that can be patented and produced, excluding rival firms from the same activity. And the second one is the knowledge that those features were essentially for the public good. In order to encourage people to institutions to be involved in knowledge creation, the principle of excludability had to be invoked. Secondly, he further elaborated on enhancing the IP laws. And also economic policies should encourage investment in new research as opposed to encouraging investment in physical capital accumulation and subsidize the accumulation of total human capital, as the higher the level of human capital a country possesses and the higher its productivity, which translates into sustained economic growth. So it's proved that intellectual property development is a key point of economic growth in a country, especially in a developing country like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Azad?
Okay, thank you, Aparajita. I'd like to give you the basic overview of the intellectual property development. What actually problem we are facing in the development process of the intellectual property development program in least developed countries and the developing world. You know, we are, as we previously described more detail on this background information on the intellectual property development program, that the basic problem of the existing world, that the existing institutional mechanism, models, policies, programs, guidelines, regulations, law in the world are not working properly to solve the most perpetual intellectual property business.